Ciao ragazzi! This is Talk Culture TV on YouTube. Ciao tutti! Welcome to this episode of Talk Culture TV. There is a reason why we're wearing a scarf in this hot weather, and that is because today Italy has a new manager of the national team. It is Scarface himself, Roberto Mancini, Bobbigol nicknamed as a player. Mancini, of course, today signed. The 53-year-old, as we know, has managed Inter Milan, Manchester City, Galatasaray, and most recently Zenit St. Petersburg, who he resigned from at the weekend. Now, of course, as we know, Italy are not going to Russia 2018. Do I have to keep saying that? And we have dropped to our lowest ever rankings, 20th. It is time Mancini is the man to restore pride to the Azzurri and possibly bring back success, which has starved us since 2006. Now, it's fair to say it wasn't exactly a well-kept secret. I think there were rumours back in February Mancini was going to be the man to succeed the ill-fated Gian-Piero Ventura. Many had suggested Carlo Ancelotti. I think Ancelotti had his eye on the Arsenal job. There's now talk he may go to Napoli. Massimo Allegri I don't think was ever going to happen, let's be honest. There weren't many other candidates. If it had been Luigi Di Biagio of the under-21s, well, that would have been a cheap option. That would have been like getting our equivalent to Gareth Southgate, just a yes man with no experience. So luckily we haven't gone down that route. Mancini has made no secret of how he was unhappy in Russian football as well. He's been desperate for a top job, 53 years old now. Actually got a couple of quotes what he said today in the press conference. He said, "To coach the national team is a reason to be proud for anyone. I think it is the right moment for me in my career. To be able to win something with Italy would be unique. It's a difficult time, there is a lot to do." Mancini's first match, as you know, is a friendly against Saudi Arabia on May the 28th. There are then friendlies in June against Holland, who also aren't going to the World Cup, just like us, and then against France. So, what do we know about Roberto Mancini Bobbigol, the new Azzurri manager himself? Roberto Mancini was born on the 26th of November 1964 in Lecce. He started his career off with Bologna as a player, but it was his transfer to Sampdoria where he enjoyed the most successful stage of his career. The Blu Cerati won the Coppa Italia 4 times, won UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, won Italian Super Cup. In the 1990-1991 season, the Blu Cerati won their first and only ever Scudetto in their history. Mancini and Vialli were up front, of course they were nicknamed the Goal Twins. In the 1992 season, they made the European Cup final where they would face Barcelona in the final at Wembley Stadium. They would face heartache though, where they would lose 1-0 thanks to a free kick from Dutchman Ronald Koeman in extra time, a competition they have not competed in ever since. Mancini's long time with Sampdoria would come to an end in the summer of 1997 when he would follow Swedish coach Sven-Göran Eriksson to Lazio. Now by this stage he was nearly 33, but you could say his time as a player at Lazio kind of a mirror image of what he achieved at Sampdoria. He won the Coppa Italia 3 times, won Italian Super Cup, won UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, won UEFA Super Cup, and of course in the 1999-2000 season won the Scudetto with Lazio, the second in the Biancoceleste's history. The following season, Sven-Göran Eriksson would leave Lazio to coach the English national team. Bobbigol's career was on a bit of a wind down. He would join Leicester City, albeit on a brief loan stage. He would make 6 appearances before eventually hanging up his boots. When it came to as a player for the national team, the Azzurri, he made his debut under Enzo Bearzot, just 19 years of age. He won 36 caps but only scored 4 goals. Now you've got to remember at this time, Italy had a lot of talent to choose from, unlike nowadays. Of course, you had Gianluca Vialli, Roberto Baggio, Giuseppe Signori. There was strikers aplenty. Mancini never quite featured. He did score against Germany in one of the European Championships, I remember, but he wasn't selected for USA 94. He never wore the Azzurri shirt ever again. Roberto Mancini's first job came at La Viola Fiorentina. Now, they won the Coppa Italia in 2001. The following year, though, they were relegated to Serie B on the back of bankruptcy and near insolvency. Key players like Gabriel Batistuta, Rui Costa and Francesco Toldo had long been sold to pay off debts. Despite the relegation though, he would succeed Alberto Zaccheroni at Lazio the following season. a club where he'd won the Scudetto just 2 previous years as a player. With Lazio, Mancini would win the Coppa Italia in the 2003-2004 season, before moving on to his next job where yet again he would succeed a sacked Alberto Zaccheroni, this time at Inter Milan, the Nerazzurri. Now, in the first 2 years they didn't win anything, but that would change after the break of the Calciopoli match-fixing scandal in 2006. Now, Juventus, having won the 2 Scudettos then, were stripped of the titles, relegated to Serie B. AC Milan would finish second with dock points. By default, the Scudettos were awarded to Inter Milan, their first ever since 1989 by default. Mancini, though, would win the Scudettos up to 2008. He would be sacked, however, by Massimo Moratti in a long line of managers who had been given the axe, and replaced by Jose Mourinho, the Portugueseman. Now, also as a success with Inter Milan, he then again had still won the Coppa Italia twice and 2 Italian Super Cup. He took a bit of a sabbatical leave before his next job. That next job would come in December 2009 at English side Manchester City. Now, he was appointed just hours after Welshman Mark Hughes had been sacked. Mancini would win the FA Cup in 2011, the first trophy for Manchester City since the 70s. They would then the following year, on the last day, win the Premier League title, snatching it from under Manchester United's noses, literally deep in injury time. Famous goal by Sergio Aguero! The following year they would win the Charity Shield, defeating Chelsea, but their failure to retain the Premier League and a shock defeat in the FA Cup final to Wigan Athletic would hand Mancini his P45. Roberto Mancini's next job would be taking over Turkish side Galatasaray. They would win the Turkish Cup in 2014. He wasn't there for very long, that's for certain. He would then make a shock return to Inter Milan. Now, bear in mind at this stage, Massimo Moratti had sold the club to new Chinese investors. Mancini, though, was sacked in pre-season of 2016, criticising the transfer policy after the owners said that they would sign up-and-coming players and not bankroll major world-class signings in order to compete with Juventus. Mancini, of course, this year was at Zenit St. Petersburg. It's fair to say he made no secret how he was unhappy at the Russian side. He resigned at the weekend, and today he has become our new manager of the national team, that is the Azzurri. Now he is the new manager of the Azzurri, it's fair to say we won't be short of entertainment with Bobbigol in charge. It was more or less like that as a player and both his managerial career so far. It's believed that when he was at Sampdoria, a young Mancini felt under threat by a new Trevor Francis who had just arrived in Serie A. He picked a fight with him in training. There's also talk he had a brawl with Liam Brady. So say one time he criticised a corner taken by Juan Sebastian Veron in training. He was stripped to the waist, waiting in the changing room for a fight with the Argentine after. Also as a manager, remember at Manchester City there were various fallouts, most notably with Mario Balotelli. It's believed though that he'd lost the dressing room just prior to the FA Cup final in 2013 when they lost to Wigan. So say players went to the board and asked the sheikhs of Man City to fire the Italian. They got their wish. Now Mancini, he definitely shows passion, he's hot-blooded, that's for certain. But isn't that what we need? You know, look at Gian-Piero Ventura, puffing his cheeks every time something went wrong. Do I think it's the right decision? I think so. We said previous about other managers that so say frowned upon the job, but say they were interested but didn't actually back that up. Mancini now, obviously, priority has got to be qualifying for Euro 2020. Now, that's really probably not going to be hard, considering now the competition's expanded to 24 teams. I hope if we can get something reasonable in that tournament, and then by the next World Cup in 2022, if we decide to enter, given the controversial timing of the tournament that year, I hope we're challenging again. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. We're not blessed with world-class players, we know, but there are some up-and-coming players. You know, the likes of Catroni coming through. There's some other young blood coming through the under-21s. You know, for years we've always brought the players through. I'm pleased with the appointment of Mancini. I'm not expecting it to change overnight, but I think he is the man that can definitely restore some pride and passion to the players that pull on the famous Azzurri shirt. So thanks for watching this episode of Talk Calcio TV. And what do you think of Roberto Mancini's appointment as new Italian national manager? Leave your comments below. Tell us what you think. Like, comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. Talk Calcio TV. Also check out the links below on Instagram, Twitter and Snapchat for all our work, Italian football and Talk Calcio TV related. Also don't forget to give us a like on Facebook. Now, next episode will be just before the weekend. It is the last, of course, Serie A season concludes. The Scudetto's won, but who will grab the final Champions League place and who will go down? Don't forget to tune in for that episode. Grazie for watching tutti, arrivederci, ciao!